Good morning, Mr. Robert Sigal. Thank you for accepting our invitation to share your intersystem experience during our virtual Summit 2020. You are the CEO of the American Hospital of Paris for 4 years. Extremely renowned, the American Hospital of Paris is known for the excellence of its medical teams, the quality of its care, and the celebrities. You are one of the most innovative and prestigious hospitals in France. Your team have chosen InterSystem TrackCare 2 years ago to drive the digital transformation of your organization in order to achieve a leadership position, not only in France, but in Europe. Robert, could you introduce the American Hospital of Paris and share your InterSystem experience, please?
Mr. James, yeah, Carlos, first of all, thanks a lot for your invitation. It's a pleasure to share with you and to share with the participants of this virtual Congress our background and our experience at the American Hospital of Paris. So let me give a few words about the context. The American Hospital of Paris, which is located in Paris, was founded before World War I, in 1906 exactly, because there was a large American community in Paris at that time. We still have very large links with the United States today. One of them is that we are surveyed by the US Joint Commission. We are the only hospital outside of the US to be surveyed by the Joint Commission. The second one is that we have in-depth exchanges with New York Presbyterian Hospital, Columbia, and Cornell. The goal of our hospital is to provide the best of French and American medicine to our patients. We are a non-for-profit hospital, and we deserve, of course, French nationals, but 35% of our patients are non-French and come from abroad, which makes us the most international hospital in France. We are regarded as a fairly good hospital, and it's not my voice, it's the voice of our customers, because French hospitals are regularly surveilled by French authorities in terms of patient satisfaction, and we are #1 in France in terms of patient satisfaction, in terms of services by our doctors, to start with, our healthcare staff, and amenities and the rest. We are #1 in France. So it is in this frame that we wanted to deliver to our patients the best electronic services that we could. And it is for this reason that at some point, shortly after my arrival, we have considered moving on with a new electronic patient record, because the one we had was outdated for whatever reason, and we launched a search for a new partnership in the spirit of delivering optimal services to our doctors, of course, and healthcare staff, but to our patients.
After this first step, Robert Sigal, you decided in September, in August 2018, to TrackCare solution, and with one imperative is to go live the solution by 8th January in Bing-Bong. In less than 5 months, the InterSystem teams proceed all the steps to start with the solution in January 2019. Can you share this experience of a very short time delivery with InterSystem, and now, after 18 months experience, the feedback of your medical team?
So first of all, when you as InterSystem arrived, you were in competition with other companies, and in fact, it was not only 5 months, seen from the American Hospital of Paris. We had a year of work to define the requirements of our systems, to see what exactly we're looking for, to have an RFP, and then to select at the end InterSystem, because as you know, you won against competitors. And so it is true that when we started to work with you, everybody was anxious to start and to be as efficient as we could. So this period, which was the end of, after the summer of 2018, was very intense. There was very close collaboration between our IT team, our physicians, and your team. And it's true that we go live, as far as I remember, it was the 8th or 9th of January that we went live. And it was like a big bang, because we decided that we were completely removing the old system, and I'm going to be a little bit specific in a moment, and to go live with the InterSystem in the whole hospital. So what was the range of the project? The project, the central aspect of the project was the electronic patient record, and it's what is used for patient notes, patient progress note, history, physical examination, and so forth, and that is accessible to our teams in the wards. And we have today 135 beds in our hospital, so the system had to be available for the whole hospital. We put aside the maternity because at that time it was not, the requirement were not there, but in the rest of the ward, the system had to be ready at that date. We also included in the first wave the emergency unit. We're seeing several dozens of thousands of patients every year in our hospital, and we wanted this to be ready. Another point that we wanted to be ready was a drug prescription, an efficient drug prescription. We had a very strict regulation in France, as in, I guess, in many countries of the world, regarding what you prescribe, how you follow, and how you survey. And this had to be completely ready when we started the system. So the memory that I have from this period, beginning of the first quarter of 2019, was an intense collaboration with the InterSystem teams. You were on the ground, you were working with this. There was a lot of education, a lot of teams were there in the ward to be with the doctors, to be with the nurses, and to show them how it works, to answer the question, and to make it live. And frankly, the result was really what we expected, because by the summer, let's say, when we had this regular steering committee with you guys of InterSystem and with you, Carlos, and your team, we could see that month after month, there was, of course, some pending problems. There was, of course, some issues that had to be solved, but the system was adopted. And this is the most important thing, is that at the end of the day, the system was adopted by our physician, and the system was adopted by our nursing staff. It involved a lot of new habits for a lot of them, but it was done in such a way that it was adopted. If I have to be a little bit more specific, I would say the system was seen as user-friendly by our staff, both doctors and nurses, which was, of course, a key. The system was seen as in compliance with our regulation, specifically with the American Joint Commission, because, as I said before, we're surveyed by the Joint Commission, and the medical record is one of the key focus points that they have, and so you have to go through a workflow, in fact, to be specific, where you have to go in the history and physical examination and this and that, and so the system was implemented to follow those regulations, and then when the doctors were using them, they could see that it was efficient and it was allowing to follow this track as needed. So this was the first deployment in the ward. Then we continue with the system, which was progressively we moved to the lab, biology lab, and to be sure that all the prescription, all the exams were available on the system and were on this one. And then currently we are moving to anesthesia, to the anesthesiology department, and we are in process to develop this one. In between, sorry, I forgot something that was done this year in the midst of the COVID crisis that we had, of course, in France as in many other countries, which was a maternity. And with the maternity, which has specific requirements, we have the partogram, I don't know if you use the same word in English, which allows to monitor the fetal signs during delivery. So there was this idea of plugging tracker to the Partogram. This is still work in progress. We're working in that case with Philips. Good spirit, it will be done. So I'm just showing that in saying that, as we all know, an IT system is a living system where you start with something and then progressively you grow the system, you add other components to the system.
Thank you, Robert. Now you have a very strong foundation for your IT solution, but we know you are expecting to extend your services to the patient outside hospital. Can you explain us?
Yeah, first let me just add something. In the tools that were provided by IntraSystem, there was one tool that you call Analytics, which I think was very interesting because it provides data on how the system is used by your doctors, your staff, etc. And of course, data are key to run a project, to check if if it is well used, to see where you need to improve and so forth. So this is a very important tool, and I want just to stress this point. Now, the next step is that as many hospitals, of course, we are the center of what should be a hospital is not only cure, it's also care for hospital. What I mean is that more and more, and this is one of the specificity of our hospital, we are also specialized in preventative medicine. We have a checkup center that was founded 30 years ago in France, and it was extremely innovative. And we are focused on preventative medicine and following up the patient after he exits from the hospital for the acute period of hospitalization, and is taken care of by his GP, for instance, in town or in other structures. And we want to maintain the link with before, what we call end-to-end, before, during, and after, across the healthcare professionals, but also with the patients. How do the patients with access to their data, how do they, if you had started before, how do they get their appointment, how do they, do we provide facilities for payment before and after, and then how do they make reservation for slots for consultation, for hospitalization, for imaging, and so forth. So the continuity of the digital life is for us essential, for us and for many hospitals. We're not, I don't think that we are especially innovative, but what we are looking for and what we are waiting for, what we are expecting from IntraSystem is a true partnership in the spirit of what we have experienced, and at the end of the day, to improve customer satisfaction, because at the end of the day, it is what matters to our patients and to us, is that if we are, as I said, number one in terms of patient satisfaction, it has to be in all fields. Let me add that today in the French healthcare system, they don't survey the healthcare, digital experience of the patient. Maybe one day they will do it, but I don't need the French authorities to monitor the digital experience of the patient to know that this is key. By the way, for our patients, I mentioned that there are 65% of our patients are residing in France, 35% are residing outside of France, mainly in the Arab world, number one, number two, in Western Africa, number three, in Europe up to Russia and CIS. Maintaining the digital link with these people is absolutely key. And they can live literally next door, or they can be 5,000 miles or kilometers from there. We have to maintain this digital link. Everybody today is on its digital iPhone or whatever you want. We have to maintain this continuity. We have to be agile. And so digital is part of what we expect. And it's part of what discussion we have with you, and we want to have with you for our patients.
Thank you, Robert. We did a very strong job, and I think we achieved the first two steps of this beautiful story, efficient story between American Hospital of Paris and IntraSystem. Thank you, Robert, and thank you to join us during this virtual summit 2020.
I just have one word to add. It's the relationship with the TRACARE system. We had, frankly, an excellent relation with your team. We saw that from the moment where we had the interviews with you when we were doing the RFP, your answers, the seriousness of your commitment, and then in the process working with your teams has been really, I don't say that we necessarily get 100% of what we want. Sometimes it takes a bit more time, sometimes, okay, but this is the life of a project. What I like is the openness of the discussion, the good faith of the discussion, and the fact that we put the problem on the table. Sometimes we feel that we would be maybe a bit more rapid solution, and as you were looking for. And we know that you intersystem friends are dependent, of course, of the development in the company. And so, okay, but I would say that the experience now with almost 2 years now with you has been a very good experience. You are good partners, and when we have the steering committee with you, I mean, it's done in good faith, it's done positively. And so I would like also just to take this opportunity to really thank you, Carlos, personally, the team of Intersystem France. In general, I think we have it's important for a hospital in general to have the feeling that you have solid and good, what do you say, almost nice partners. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.